For generations, we have been told a simple, reassuring story. Drink your milk for strong bones. This message was everywhere, from school lunch programs to primetime television commercials, often featuring celebrities sporting a milk moustache. The logic seemed straightforward and unassailable. Milk is packed with calcium, and calcium is the primary building block of our skeletal system. It was a narrative so deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness that questioning it felt almost like questioning gravity itself. This long-held belief was not just a cultural phenomenon, it was backed by nutritional science of the time and heavily promoted by powerful dairy industry campaigns, creating a powerful synergy that made milk synonymous with a healthy childhood and a fracture-free future. The core of this belief rests on a fundamental truth. Our bones are indeed living reservoirs of calcium. Think of your skeleton as a bank account for this essential mineral. When you consume calcium, you make deposits, strengthening the structure. Throughout our lives, but especially during our formative years, our bodies are constantly remodeling our bones, breaking down old tissue and replacing it with new. Calcium is the critical raw material for this construction project. The idea, therefore, was that flooding your system with the calcium-rich content of milk would ensure this process ran smoothly and efficiently, resulting in a denser, more robust skeleton that could withstand the inevitable bumps and tumbles of life. However, as scientific inquiry has advanced, this black and white picture has become much more nuanced, filled with shades of grey. Modern research has started to challenge the direct linear relationship between high milk consumption and superior bone health, particularly when it comes to preventing fractures later in life. Dr. Walter Willett, a prominent nutritionist from Harvard, has pointed out that much of the early evidence was based on short-term studies that showed temporary increases in bone density. While these studies were not wrong, their long-term implications may have been overstated, leading to a public health message that was perhaps too simplistic and not universally applicable to all populations or age groups. The narrative began to shift as researchers conducted larger, more comprehensive analyses looking at health outcomes over many years. Surprisingly, many of these extensive studies failed to find a consistent association between drinking more milk and suffering fewer fractures. In fact, a startling 2020 review highlighted an inverse correlation on a global scale. Countries with the highest rates of milk consumption, such as those in Northern Europe, also tend to have some of the highest rates of hip fractures. This paradox doesn't necessarily mean milk is causing fractures, but it strongly suggests that the connection is far more complex than the simple milk equals strong bones equation we were all taught to believe. At the heart of this discussion is the mineral itself, calcium. There is no debate that it is absolutely vital for our bodies. Beyond building bones and teeth, calcium plays a crucial role in nerve transmission, muscle function, and blood clotting. The real debate among experts revolves around the optimal daily intake. In the United States, dietary guidelines recommend a substantial amount, advising adults to consume between 1,000 and 1,200 milligrams per day. To put that into perspective, a single 8-ounce cup of whole milk delivers roughly 300 milligrams, making 3 to 4 glasses a day seem like a necessary target to meet these guidelines, a fact often highlighted in dairy promotions. This American recommendation, however, is not the global standard. If you look across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom, for instance, you'll find a significantly lower official recommendation of just 700 milligrams per day for adults. This considerable discrepancy of 300 to 500 milligrams begs the question, why the difference? Experts like Dr. Willett argue that the higher US figures are based on studies that measure calcium balance over short periods. These studies might not fully account for the body's remarkable ability to adapt its calcium absorption efficiency based on intake levels. When intake is lower, the body can become better at absorbing the calcium it gets from food, a factor that complicates setting a single, ideal number for everyone. The effectiveness of high calcium intake from milk on bone density has also been scrutinized. Past trials have demonstrated that for individuals with initially low calcium levels, increasing their intake through dairy or supplements can indeed boost bone density. However, these gains are often modest, typically in the range of 1 to 3%. While any increase sounds positive, experts question whether such a small improvement is substantial enough to significantly reduce the real-world risk of a debilitating fracture. Furthermore, these benefits appear to be transient. To maintain that slightly higher density, one must continue consuming high levels of calcium indefinitely, which may not be practical or desirable for everyone. This leads us to the most critical question. Does drinking more milk actually prevent broken bones? Here, the evidence is surprisingly weak. Multiple large-scale analyses that have pooled data from various studies have found no clear link between higher milk consumption during adulthood and a lower risk of fractures. While we lack a definitive long-term randomized clinical trial, the gold standard of medical evidence, to prove or disprove the benefit, the existing observational data suggests that focusing solely on milk intake as a strategy for bone health is likely misguided. The overall quality of your diet and other lifestyle factors appear to play a much more significant role in skeletal resilience. The conversation about calcium should not begin and end with cow's milk. It's important to state clearly that no single food, including milk, is an absolute requirement for good health. This is especially relevant given that a significant portion of the global population, including over a third of people in the United States, has some degree of lactose intolerance, making the digestion of large quantities of milk difficult or uncomfortable. For these individuals, and for those who simply choose not to consume dairy, the idea that milk is essential for bone health can create unnecessary anxiety. The good news is that the nutritional world is abundant with excellent, and in some cases superior, alternative sources of calcium. For those who enjoy dairy but want to diversify their intake, fermented dairy products like yogurt and cheese might be even better choices for bone health. Some research suggests a stronger association between the consumption of these foods and a lower fracture risk compared to liquid milk. The fermentation process can enhance the bioavailability of certain nutrients and introduce probiotics, which may have indirect benefits for bone metabolism. Furthermore, hard cheeses are incredibly concentrated sources of calcium. These options provide the mineral in a different matrix, which could influence how our bodies utilize it, making them a valuable part of a bone-healthy diet. Beyond dairy, the plant kingdom offers a wealth of calcium-rich options. Leafy green vegetables like kale, collard greens, and bok choy are packed with highly absorbable calcium. Tofu, especially when prepared with calcium sulfate, is another powerhouse. Other excellent plant-based sources include fortified foods, which are becoming increasingly common and accessible. Many plant-based milks, such as those made from soy, almonds, or oats, are now fortified to contain as much or even more calcium per serving as cow's milk. Orange juice is another frequently fortified beverage, providing an easy way to boost your daily intake without any dairy at all. It's also worth looking to the sea. Canned fish with edible bones, such as sardines and salmon, are exceptional sources of both calcium and vitamin D, a critical partner nutrient that helps the body absorb calcium effectively. A single serving of sardines can provide a significant portion of your daily calcium needs. By broadening our perspective beyond the milk carton, we can build a diet that is rich in calcium from a wide variety of sources. This dietary diversity not only supports strong bones, but also provides a broader spectrum of other essential vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients that contribute to overall health and well-being. While calcium is a key player, building and maintaining a strong skeleton is a team sport that involves your entire lifestyle. Focusing on a single nutrient or food is a reductionist approach that misses the bigger picture. True bone health is built upon a foundation of a balanced, nutrient-dense diet. This means consuming not just calcium but also its essential cofactors. Vitamin D is paramount, as it acts like a key that unlocks the door for calcium to enter the bloodstream from your gut. You can get it from sun exposure, fatty fish, and fortified foods. Magnesium and vitamin K, found in nuts, seeds, and leafy greens, also play vital structural and regulatory roles in bone metabolism. However, you cannot build strong bones by diet alone. Your skeleton is a dynamic tissue that responds to the demands you place upon it. Just as muscles grow stronger with use, bones become denser and more resilient when they are subjected to stress. This is where exercise, particularly weight-bearing and resistance activities, becomes non-negotiable for skeletal health. Activities like walking, running, dancing and jumping force your bones to work against gravity, signaling your body to deposit more minerals and reinforce their structure. Strength training, whether with weights, bands or your own body weight, creates tension on the bones, further stimulating this strengthening process. It is also true that certain groups have higher calcium needs and should pay closer attention to their intake. Children and adolescents between the ages of 9 and 18 are in their peak bone-building years, and ensuring they get enough calcium is crucial for maximizing their bone density, which will serve them for the rest of their lives. Likewise, adults over 50, particularly postmenopausal women, face a new set of challenges. Bone density naturally begins to decline with age, and the body's ability to absorb calcium from food also becomes less efficient. For these high-risk groups, a conscious effort to include calcium-rich foods, whether dairy or non-dairy, is a wise preventative strategy. Ultimately, the blueprint for healthy bones is simple and holistic. Aim for a varied diet rich in calcium, vitamin D, and other key nutrients from diverse sources like leafy greens, fortified foods, yogurt, or milk if you enjoy it. Make regular weight-bearing exercise a non-negotiable part of your routine. Avoid smoking and excessive alcohol consumption, both of which are known to weaken bones. By adopting this comprehensive approach, you empower your body to build and maintain a strong, resilient skeleton that can support you through a long, active and healthy life, regardless of how much milk you choose to drink.